Cult is an individual at the top there.
Lies will always expose themselves.
Cult is an individual at the top there. You find these youth and student activists, right? They think it's revolutionary to throw insults at people. Like, take platforms. Hey, so and so is this, so and so is that.
A few moments later.
There, that includes an imbecile, a fool called Nhlamulo Ndlela. One of the foolish leaders of Umkhonto weSizwe, who unfortunately represents the people there. He's always on drugs and always high on alcohol in terms of how he deals with issues.
Lies will always expose themselves.
A lot of things which EFF will do and engage in or even the approaches that will be taken sometimes was not a direct result of democratic consultation. It was just the feelings of one individual.
A few moments later.
There's no the matter has never arisen in a proper debate inside.
There's no cult, none whatsoever, in the economic freedom fighters. No cult, none whatsoever, in the economic freedom fighters. No cult, none whatsoever, in the economic freedom fighters.
My fellow fighters and the people of South Africa, you won't believe what I have in store for you today. Because this, what I have here, you won't see it anywhere else. There is no any other YouTuber who's gonna do this type of work I'm doing for you guys. And I'm doing this so you guys can know what you are dealing with in South Africa. Recently, like you guys know, Floyd Shivambu has been going to different interviews in the mainstream media. The latest one was him going to SABC. He was interviewed by a very beautiful journalist, a very beautiful anchor representing the SABC. And I want you guys to see this clip here. But before I show you the clip, I want you to know that I respect the level of questions this woman was posing towards Floyd Shivambu, because those questions exposed the Floyd Shivambu so much. And stay tuned. Watch her questions.
My other question is on the EFF. You have repeated that it is a cult. You even made an example on another platform that what used to happen, which many would have seen, is that at press conferences, it would be only the leader that would speak and the other leaders, the top leadership, would not get an opportunity to speak. Now, given that you hold such strong views about the economic freedom fighters, are you now not perhaps almost giving credence to at least some of what Malema has stated, that there was never a genuine call when Umkhonto weSizwe Party wanted progressive forces to unite, because you now felt or held or harbored these views that that was a cult? Why then would there have been a call by Umkhonto weSizwe or yourselves to say we want to unite all progressive parties, we believe that we all can wage some sort of a strong war against perhaps the ANC or the Democratic Alliance? So right now, are you not proving them right, that you held these ill feelings towards them? Why would you have wanted to unite with a cult to say progressive forces must come together? No.
That's how she was questioning him. I won't answer for Floyd Shivambu. I will give you an opportunity to hear how he responded to that question. But you saw the way she put her questions. You must just watch. And when I say watch, I want you guys to watch how Floyd Shivambu answers that question. Pay attention. Listen to every little bit of word from him. And then you'll be shocked what I have to say after that. But there's Floyd Shivambu answering the question.
Look, I still uphold deeply a conviction that all progressive forces and black political parties should unite to pursue a common agenda, because
including a cult.
The aspirations. Look, cult is an individual at the top there, but the membership of MK, the membership of ANC, the membership of EFF, the membership of ATM hold the same aspirations. What then becomes a difficulty is the individual leaders. They
so you would have isolated him, meaning he would have said he was right.
Yeah, when we talk about unification of progressive forces, we're talking about organizational unification of aspirations as to how do we commonly pursue the same agenda, because we represent the same constituencies.
You just heard Floyd Shivambu answering the question, right? He's been asked about why is he now all of a sudden changing his mind about the EFF being a cult, and if he still believes in black progressive parties should come together. And he's saying that, yeah, they should come together, and they're asking him, do you think it's fair to say black political parties must come together, knowing very well you have already labeled the EFF as a cult? And he's like, he's like, listen to this.
Cult is an individual at the top there, but the membership of MK, the membership of ANC, the membership of EFF, the membership of ATM hold the same aspirations. What then becomes a difficulty is the individual leaders.
So you would have isolated him, meaning
so
he would have said he was right.
Yeah, when we talk about
you heard him, right? He's like, a cult in the EFF is just the top leaders. A cult is just the top leadership. He's speaking about Julius Malema. He's saying Julius Malema is just a cult alone up there. But the rest of the membership on the ground is not a cult. Hey, Bafetu, as a country, we have to sit down one of the good days and into it, Yazin, not even 1 or 2 days. We have to sit down and actually ask the question, what is a think tank? If think tanks are people who are saying these things. But before we get there, we're going to define a think tank. But before we get there, I want us guys to interrogate what he said. Because he can't get away with just saying that a cult is the top leadership only. It's just Julius Malema alone. And the membership on the ground, that's not a cult. Kante, what is a cult? Okay, let's ask the great friend of ours. We all know our great friend, the internet. The internet always has the answers, because it seems like we can't trust these think tanks to define certain things for us. So we rather go to the superior, biggest think tank being online internet. So let's ask the internet, can a cult exist without members? No, a cult cannot truly exist without members. Here's why. A cult by definition is a group. It involves a leader or leaders and followers who are devoted to that leader, to that ideology, or to that belief system. Without members, there is no group dynamic. There is no one to influence, control, or manipulate. And so-called cult becomes just an individual with unusual or extreme beliefs, not a functioning cult.
Cult is an individual at the top there.
So it also gives us a different perspective to look at this whole issue, because there is a simplistic way for us to actually find the proper answers as to this thing of cult in Tanjani. And if one individual leader can't be a cult, if those who don't understand that type of English, in what other terms can you explain it? There is the other terms to explain it. Think of it like this. A dictator with no country is just a person. A teacher with no student isn't teaching. Likewise, a cult leader without followers isn't leading a cult. So the Karl Marx of Mahonisi, the man who is bestowed to harness the supernatural wisdom and the powers of this world to end up being called a think tank, why is he failing to define a cult? A cult is just the top leader, but without the ground forces on the ground. How is that a cult? How can a cult be one person and this is a think tank? We need to come to a point where we actually define a think tank. Yazin, let's ask our friend again, the beautiful friend of ours, internet. What type of person is a think tank? Think tank isn't a type of person. It's a type of organization. But the people who work in think tanks usually share some common traits. What is a think tank? A think tank is a group or institution that does in-depth research and analysis on political, economical, social, or scientific issues. They influence policy, educate the public, or advise government and businesses. A think tank is an organization, and the people who work for that organization, they are just contributing to making the organization become a think tank. But okay, it's fine. So is Floyd Shivambu really a think tank if he is failing to define a cult? If he doesn't know the meaning of a cult and is telling you guys, okay, it's fine. I want you guys to observe something, and this is very investigative, and it's going to introspect deeply on Floyd Shivambu's personality. I want you guys to listen to what Floyd is saying here, because there's an interview he did with ENCA, and I want you guys to pay attention. Don't just listen to bombastic words. Listen to understand. Don't listen because you want to listen. Listen to understand what people say. Listen to this.
A lot of things which EFF will do and engage in or even the approaches that would be taken sometimes was not a direct result of democratic consultation. It was just the feelings of one individual as to how certain things must be handled. And that is not a sustainable culture for any organizations, because organizations must take decisions after thorough democratic consultation. And once those decisions have been taken, they must always be binding on everyone else.
So why did Julius Malema never listen to you? Because you clearly say there were problems. Did he not listen to you? Or?
Okay, that's fine. We can talk about EFF for
I just want to get a background.
No. I asked you a question and arrived here.
Yes.
Of what are we going to talk about?
And we are talking about your plans going forward.
Yeah, let's talk about my plans going forward.
Okay, but with the context of what you've learned, and then we go. Okay, last lesson from the EFF and what you're going to change.
Let's deal with the process of Maibuya, which we're dealing with now.
Okay.
Which
as
is
you answer
the process,
that, forgive me, Mr. Shivambu, as you answer that.
No, let's deal with the process that we're dealing with.
And then what you're going to do going forward.
Let's deal with the process of Maibuya that we're here for.
But you've learned lessons.
So what we're here for?
You heard him, right? He started off by attacking the EFF, saying the EFF is a cult, the leadership of the EFF, there's no democratic processes to allow this party to have fair judgment from different people. And then the anchor, the journalist, is asking him questions like, okay, we hear all of that, and we're going to speak about your party, because he was insisting when the journalist started asking him, so since you have left the EFF, what did you learn from the EFF? What did you take from the EFF? What is it that you learned? He was like, no, we're not here for that. Let's move on. Let's talk about Mayubuye. So if he was not here for speaking about the EFF, why did he even speak about the EFF not having a democratic system? Hey, it's a cult and wara wara wara. Why did he speak about that if he's not expecting follow-up questions to investigate what he thinks? So he's running away from questions. But I have a better suggestion and a better answer to why I believe he ran away from that answer, that question. You know why he didn't want to answer when they asked him, what did you learn from the EFF? What was your takeaway from the EFF? You know why he didn't answer that? Because he was scared. He was going to end up saying things like this. Watch here.
We say to Mushavi, President Sele Julius Lishole Malema, that we want to thank you for having led us with decisiveness, for having taken the courage to confront enemy forces. Many people had counted you out. You have sharpened all of us. When we met, me and you were 27 years old when we started working together, and I was 25 years. Throughout the 15 years, we have learned a lot from you. This organization and all of us who surround you will not be here if it was not because of your massive contribution, not just politically, but in our personal and career development as well.
He was scared. He was going to end up saying things like that because that's how he feels, gay. This, what you see now, him spiraling out of control, emotional bursting, speaking out of pocket, insulting people. That's not him. He's out of character. The real him is the one you just saw. The real him is the one you just saw, giving credit to the EFF, accepting that the EFF really boosted him, he really learned a lot. So guys, shout out once again to this beautiful journalist of ours who was interrogating Floyd Shivambu'S psyche and his mental as to actually when she asked him questions like, since you guys were fighting Julius Malema so bad, you were saying he doesn't wanna unite with the MK party, and you were saying he's the problem, but you now starting to insult the EFF, calling it a cult and all of this. Doesn't it validate what Julius Malema has always been saying, that you guys, your call for unity is not genuine? You guys just wanna insult the EFF, you wanna destroy the EFF. His answer is like, listen to this.
Cult is an individual at the top there, but the membership of MK, the membership of ANC, the membership of EFF, the membership of ATN hold the same aspirations. What then becomes a difficulty is the individual leaders.
So you would have isolated him, meaning he would have said he was right. When we
talk about unification of progressive forces, we're talking about organizational unification of aspirations as to how do we commonly pursue the same agenda because we represent the same constituencies.
Yes, it's the same clip. The first one we're interrogating the part of a cult. This one we're interrogating him, explaining now that he also wants to unite with the cult. And if he wants to unite with the cult, it's fine. But why would he want to unite with the organization which he tried to tell the people of South Africa that this organization is funded by the same people who fund the DA? Do you guys remember this? Watch this. He retweeted a screenshot that was framing the EFF, and it was produced by AI, and it was framing the EFF Senao Tambo, and they were trying to say Senao Tambo wrote the same statement as John Steenhuisen. Same word, but and then he's retweeting it. It's like same handler, same funders and everything. So, okay, let's say the EFF is sold out, and people believe that he also believes Uguti the EFF is sold out. The EFF is funded by the same people who fund the DA. Why would Floyd Shivambu want to work with a sold out party? Don't you guys ask yourself these questions? Don't you? Or you're moving with the wind. You're moving like your favorite YouTubers. Today they're here, tomorrow they are there. Today they say this, tomorrow they are there. In the name of being unbiased. They don't give you clear investigative journalism because they don't want to be biased. They want to be unbiased. But they don't show you the clear proof. They don't show you things that you need to know. These things, nobody would be showing you these things. Nobody would be even posing that clip of Floyd Shivambu lying about the definition of a cult. Nobody would do that for you. But I decided to take it out of my own personal time and think proper. A cult is one person. How can a cult just be the leadership only? The people on the ground, there's no cult. Kanjani Mara. How is that possible? I decided to do that. I decided to investigate that. So you guys can see your think tank. When he speaks, it shows that many of the things he speaks about, he has no idea what they mean. He's busy throwing big bombastic words. Does he even know what they mean? Isn't these bombastic words the same reason why we are doing these videos today? Exposing him being inconsistent, tripping over himself, saying things that don't match. Today saying this, tomorrow saying that. Isn't this English the one that is actually his biggest threat? The same English which is praised for knowing seems to be the same English that's gonna be his downfall. But it is what it is, guys. You can make this whatever you want. I showed you what you needed to see. You can, of course, continue watching your favorite YouTubers show you things that don't matter. Here, we're going to investigate things, and we are going to investigate, guys. There's no one who's going to tell me this, don't investigate. Here, we're not playing Bafetu, and you must know that we're not playing here. But it is what it is, guys. I thank you very much. Thank you.